Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my story, Marathon Informant Part 5. So, law enforcement is now involved, and from what I've gathered from the conversation with the officer, that they're going to pursue charges against him for statutory rape. So, not even an hour after the police left my place, I guess they went over to his mom's house to talk to him. And he didn't answer the door, so they left a card, and then someone left a voice message on the answering service over there. So he ends up calling me to ask me what was going on, and I pretty much told him, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, my mom called the police, and they came over here and they said something about rape, and he was like, "You better fix it." Like, literally telling me I better fix it. That he need to come over there and he need to talk to my mom. And so I was like, "Was she here?" He drove up in his brand new LS 400 Lexus, pulled up, and my mom went outside to talk to him and told me, "Do not come outside." And I'm pretty much telling her, like, why would you try to have him arrested? Like, why would you want my baby not to have a father? So law enforcement ends up dropping those statutory rape charges, even though I was 16 years old. I don't know why, but they end up dropping the statutory rape charges against him. And I remember him showing up one night, and I came outside to talk with him and stuff because I wanted to show him my ultrasound papers that I was having a girl. And so we were outside, and he was just talking to me, and I'm showing him the paperwork and stuff. And he was like, "Okay, so it's a girl. Who have you told?" And I was pretty much like, nobody really knows, just my family. And he was like, "Yeah, make sure you don't be telling nobody our business." Well, while me and him were outside talking, out of nowhere, some lady comes running down the street, screaming and hollering his name, and he looks up, his eyes get big, and he takes off running, leaving me standing on the driveway. And so the lady casually just walked over. She was running in heels, and she was like, "What's your name?" And so I was like, "My name is Kalita." Like, "Who are you?" And she was like, "I'm his girlfriend." And I was like, "His girlfriend? Well, I'm his girlfriend, and we're about to have a baby together." And she was like, "How old are you?" And I'm like, "I'm 16." And then she was pretty much like, "Oh, okay." And then she turns around and she walks off back into the dark. Well, he calls me about 30 minutes later, and he's pretty much like, "What that lady told you?" And I was like, "She asked me who I was, and then she told me that she was your girlfriend." And then he bust out laughing, and he was like, "Baby, that's not my girlfriend, that's my sister." And well, I'm telling my neighbor like a week later about what had happened. And she was like 10 years older than me. So she pretty much knew him from the streets and knew his family and knew other people. And so she was telling me, she was like, "Well, yeah, he is messing with this chick that worked nights at the prison." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So maybe that's why he don't call me and he don't show up but at night." So she's telling me that she's going to get information from me. Like, she's going to find out stuff from me and she's going to tell me. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm 16, so it's not too much that I can do. I'm just going along with the flow, listening to whoever say whatever. And so pretty much I go through my entire pregnancy with him, um, pretty much pulling up at my mom's house, telling me to come outside so he can see me, and then him driving off. Once I reached the end of my pregnancy, he was asking me like, "When is your due date?" and all this. So I'm telling him this is my due date, asking him if he's gonna come to the doctor, pretty much telling me yes, asking him if he's gonna be at the hospital, pretty much telling me that before the end he's gonna be there. Never made it. Not one doctor's appointment, not even to the hospital when I delivered. So once I got to the hospital to have my baby that day, my sister had left some messages on his mom's answering service to let him know that, my sister's at the hospital. They're going to induce her today, so she's going to have the baby. He never calls. And so I pretty much delivered the baby without him being there. That next day, my sister again got back on the phone again and started calling his mom's house, leaving messages on the answering machine. He calls back and he wants to know, "Hey, you had the baby?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I had the baby." And he was like, "Who at the hospital with you?" So I'm telling him that it's just me, my mom and my dad and my sister. So he was like, "It's no way in hell that I'm coming to the hospital and your whole family up there." And so he was like, "Call me when you make it home." So I was at the hospital for maybe like 3 days, and the baby ended up staying for additional 2 days. So the baby was in the hospital for 5 days total in a neonatal unit, because when I delivered her, I was in labor for so long. She was breathing like really, really, really fast. But I go home, and when I go home, he calls and he tells me that he want to come over and see the baby now that I'm home. So I talked to my mom about this. My mom agreed that it was okay. He come over, he sees the baby, and immediately when I get home the baby, he started doubting that the baby was his. So one of his sisters contacts me, and she lives locally, and she tells me that she wants to see the baby. And of course I said yes. And so she ended up coming over, introducing herself. She had her guy friend with her. She bought gifts for the baby and all. And so she held the baby. She asked me a lot of questions about myself, about school, and like things like that. And initially, she just told me that the baby was really, really pretty, and that was that. And she left. And so a few weeks later, he called me. He said, "My sister coming from Houston. She want to see that baby." He referred to the baby as that baby. And so I was pretty much like, okay, yeah, she can come and see the baby. So the sister from Houston came. She bought multiple gifts. She came, saw the baby, and it was like she was in love with the baby when she saw the baby. She was like, "Oh my God, this baby looks just like him and my mom. This is that, whatever." And so she really took a liking to me and the baby. And so she would call me all the time, ask me if the baby needed anything. She was basically picking up his slack. And so he hadn't given me any money for the baby at this point. He just basically was pretty much telling me that he wasn't 100% sure. So I'm hearing all these rumors about him with this other girl. And it's coming from multiple different people. So even his sister started saying, yeah, like he's living with this girl and this and that and all kind of stuff, but I don't know what the deal is or whatever. And so I'm like, well, he's here almost every day and every night. And then she was like, yeah, so I mean, I don't know what the deal is with that. And so he's telling me, oh, that's just my friend, and telling me that he's like laying low over there with her, that it ain't nothing like that. So we end up finally getting the DNA test done, and the baby comes out to be 99.96% his. So immediately he starts taking the baby with him. Don't say that I said it, but that's what he's been taking the baby by my mom's and over there. And then I'm like, your mom's? Like, I don't even want my baby around her, because it was a time when his sister took the baby over to the mom's house and she called my baby a stray baby and said the baby could be for anybody. So I pretty much was like, no, I don't want my baby over there either. So me and him falling out over the baby all of a sudden it's his baby. So some time had passed and we had settled a lot of things, me and him, between one another. And when my daughter turned about 18 months, I got sick. And when I got sick, I immediately knew that I had to have been pregnant. So he buys a pregnancy test. I take the test and it comes out positive. And he's so happy, like, oh, she probably finna have a little brother. So he pretty much was inside a lot, coming over. We were doing regular things and stuff, and I couldn't understand why he was no longer gambling anymore. He was no longer going out anymore. He was just like chilling, and all he told me about the situation was that some stuff was going on. And I remember his phone ringing a lot and him jumping up and telling me, I have to go right now. And he would just get up and he would go. And so he never really told me what was going on. So this would happen a lot while he was around me. Well, after I had my second daughter, she was probably 3 or 4 months. I remember waking up one morning with him and him so casually telling me, I got something to tell you. And so I'm kind of like, okay, everything was going good. So I didn't know what he wanted to tell me. And he was like, you might not see me for a while. And so I was like, what do you mean I might not see you for a while? Like, what's going on? And he said, a lot of stuff that happened that I haven't been able to talk to you about. And today I got to go to court and I may have to go do some time. I don't know how much time I might have to go and do, but I'm looking at some time. And I just want you to know that I love you and I'm going to be in touch with you and the baby. I'm going to contact my mom and she'll be in contact with you. And so I could not believe he was saying this. Like, I was literally in tears. Like, what you mean? Like, what's going on?